if you have advice for young poets from Singapore, because it's a very hard country to do art in, you tend to lose interest really quickly, and your pressures coming down from all over the shop. It's really difficult to keep going. Most people I know who become musicians, artists, they give up once they have a regular job, they're married, they have a kid, because you just can't afford the time. What advice would you give them? How do you keep the inspiration going?
Just always write about what you really believe in. You know, you have to have there has to be a passion, some sort of creative fire in the first place to drive you towards arts of any kind. Keep in mind what that original impetus was, and I think read good poets from the area, like read Xu Hung's book, a great Singaporean poet, or indeed Chris. You know, you've got to find where people from that area that are doing it and that are keeping it going. Take inspiration from there, further afield. You know, keep in touch with what's happening. That's why our tours are so rewarding, because every time you go somewhere, you see something new, which makes you want to improve what you do, to try and just always push yourself.
Yeah, I think it's important. You have to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, it would be very easy to get up. Because I mean, every one of us has another job. You work hard. You get up at stupid o'clock in the morning, and you work until it's dark, and you go home and you want to cry and you just want to get into your bed. But it's a challenge to say, you know what, today I'm gonna write a poem, or you know, tomorrow I'm gonna go to a performance. And I think if you do that, it keeps things fresh. And like Bob's saying, fire. You're gonna write anyway, but you may as well challenge yourself to write and perform in a new place, or get together with 2 or 3 people and, you know, write something together and perform it. So I think you always have to keep challenging yourself to keep it going.
I mean, we live in a period, I think, historical period, where there's a lot going on. I mean, it is relentless. If you look at it from the war in Iraq to, in our case, there's been a quite substantial rise in racism where we live. There's a high level of poverty where we live. There's a lot of things to write about. But I mean, again, you have to work on your sort of the methods that you write to convey the information without making it a sort of political pamphlet, which is one of the things I think poetry is most useful at, using your way with words to express things which allow people to look more deeply into the situation. But one of the things you were saying about people getting married with children, so I mean, Shelley's not married as far as I...
Divorced.
But you do have 2 children, and I think, I mean, you're a bit of a beacon in terms of how you've been able to keep at it, despite the fact that you have all the pressures on you, more than us. I mean, because I'm not married with children, and no one else is here.
No children that I know.
That's right, but Shelley has that difficulty, so she would be the person I think who would be best placed to advise, or at least give anyone any information that would help.
Yeah, I don't know whether
sympathetic
advice
partners.
yeah, I could certainly lend a sympathetic ear to anybody who's in the same position. Whether I could offer advice, you need a partner who is very understanding and very supportive in order to perform and to write. I think there has to be somebody at home who understands why it's important and is willing to support you no matter what that entails in terms of your time and energy.
Or a good lock on the bathroom door.
There is another thing though. I mean, I was speaking to a young, I presume young fellow was from here last night. We performed in one of the Books Actually. And he was talking. So when I asked him, "Do you like writing?" That's it. If you like writing, then whatever obstacle goes in your way, you'll find a way to get out of it. If you like writing, then do you like performing what you write? I mean, I like writing, I like performing what I write, and hopefully, at some point along the way, other people will like it as well. I mean, it's not always the case, and I think with what we do, we please a lot of people, and we also alienate a lot of people as well. We deal with very heavy subjects a lot of the time. We do write about wars in Iraq, about some of the issues I raised earlier. And I think if you like writing, and you like what you write, and you like performing, the hurdles that come in your way, I mean, obviously there are some obstacles greater than others, but I think you can get over them. It is possible, but you have to have that initial drive in the first place. And the young fellow I talked to last night said, "Oh well, I write all the time." Well, that makes it a lot easier, I would have thought. If you're writing continually, you'll find an avenue. You will find an avenue.
What is poetry in Ireland like, in Northern Ireland? Is it huge? Is there a huge scene?
No.
There's not a huge scene.
Is it growing?
Growing. Yeah, it's definitely the thing.
What would you say is the population of poets in Ireland?
Probably 1 in every 2 people is a secret poet, but publicly poetic.
Probably more
fewer.
people write than would actually admit to it or get up and perform in
One out
front
of
of
two
a
is
crowd.
great. It's a great ratio.
I don't think that's an actual statistic. Please don't quote that.
There is a literary culture in Ireland,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people write, and it's encouraged in schools. It's encouraged. I mean, the fact that you do your drama work. Aisling, I'm talking about here, teaches drama. It is encouraged. The question of numbers, if you wanted to put it, I think in every single major city, you would have open mic nights or literary poetry events that would happen once or twice a month, which you would have somewhere in the region of 40 to 50, and some of the bigger ones 60 or 70, and even some of the bigger than that, every month. Out of that, I mean, Bob here runs the Fat Lip Open Mic Night, which is open mic night in Belfast. I would say you might get 25, 30 people at that once a fortnight, of which 8 to 10 people on the good nights would read, and they would come back and read again. In Limerick, that can have 150 people at it sometimes, with maybe as many as 20 or 30 people reading.
There's also, Bob and I are involved in a project currently in Belfast which aims to encourage ordinary people who may never have considered writing poetry before to pick up a pen and go and find a microphone and record a poem for an audio anthology that's being compiled. So that is people who currently don't consider themselves to be poets, and the target for that project is to get around 360 people involved, at least to participate somehow in taking part and picking up a pen and writing a poem. For the population of Belfast, that's quite a substantial number of people too.
I think that Ireland has a great storytelling tradition from way back, and I think that's slowly shifting from storytelling, the myths and the legends, into people crafting them into poetry. So I think there's always been a really good tradition of telling tales or, telling stories, and so it's just changing now. The performance poetry scene is quite small, isn't it? But it is growing.
Right.
It's becoming bigger and bigger and more popular.
People have quite a stereotypical image when they hear the word poetry. Often, I remember being on a treadmill next to a woman chatting about going, travelling to, this was to Australia a few years ago, and she said, "Oh, what are you going to do there?" And as soon as I said the word poetry, if the treadmill hadn't been attached to the ground, she'd have ran off. It's because they think of it as kind of this book poetry that they were force-fed in school and didn't appreciate, didn't get, didn't understand, and it was, a negative experience.
Right.
So a lot of what we try to do is also change that experience
We try to make
for people.
it accessible,
Right.
It's for ordinary people. I would always say it's for people like me who don't really get poetry or who don't really do poetry. It's for ordinary people. We have like songs and chants and beatboxing and different things. What is it you say, Gordon? It's not quite poetry, but it's not quite anything else. It's not something that you did at school and we're going to ask you, that fourth line down, what did that mean? It's not the study approach to it. It's the come in and have a bit of crack, have a bit of fun. You might enjoy it.
Crack means fun in Irish.
Scream, do, murmur, do not do drugs or have any associations with any other crack of any kind.
CRAIC. Look it up on any Irish
Gaelic
website.
word. It means good fun. Thanks for that, Ellen.